Welcome to this brief introductory training course on the new training management module. You may already be familiar with the older version which we released last year, and we've brought this new version about with regards to performance and a better interface, and also an engine that sits behind now which is updating the records in real time to allow for better analysis of that data as we go forward. To gain access to the training management module, you should find this within your quality tab and see training management active. The first thing you'll notice when we click on the training management is it doesn't go straight into the module anymore. We now have this separate layer of navigation. You'll see here we've got access to courses, providers, job roles, training records, which is the individual records, and also a statistical dashboard. The top areas here of courses, providers and roles are very important to set up prior to putting training data in. This doesn't mean that you can't do that at a later date as things evolve within the organisation, but they have important aspects to them, and actually in that order as well. With regards to the courses, by putting courses into the library, you give access to providers and associating them with the courses. Job roles need to know what courses are part of that role before you can actually add the job role in. And as I say, if you need to, you can put a course in later, you can associate that with a provider and associate it with a job role, but you may well find that you'll spend a lot of time going back and forwards if you don't contemplate and think that over first and make sure that you've put in your courses, providers and job roles in those orders. If I go into courses, the first thing is we have a filter, and you can filter the courses by keyword, by category, which is organised by your administrators, and you can have different levels of categorisation if you wish. Retest periods, and we also have the specific areas as well. So this will follow your company structure. If I click on RiskX, you'll notice that it will then drop me down and show the locations and so on. If you feel you can associate the courses with the individual areas, very useful for when you do departmental courses rather than company-wide. It means it'll be much easier for you to find and navigate those at a later date rather than going and sifting through pages of courses from a global level. However, if your course is something that other departments will use, or it might be a fire awareness course that's used across the organisation, you're not going to want to set a specific area for that course so it's accessible to all essentially. On the left hand side we have the navigation bar here as well, so I can go to providers, roles and people directly from here. I can go to my dashboard and my main menu, and this will stay with you throughout the process and also give you some statistical analysis as well based on the volumes within those areas. I've preloaded this demo system with some courses so we can have a look. If I quickly do a search now. So first thing you should notice is it's very prompt. Performance has been a key factor in this new build of the training management module, and a couple of things that have aided that is now the ability to page. So you'll see here there's about 15 results on this page. There are 19 overall, and I have the ability to page it, and it's worked out that obviously there's page 1, page 2. This can be done by the drop downs, and it can also be done by the arrows left and right. You'll also have a paging control at the bottom of the results as well to make it easier. Now, having a look at these results, you can see that we've got the course name, the accreditation body if you wish to put that in, the category it's been given or put into, and the retest period as well. We then have an options button which gives me the option to either edit the course or remove the course, and when you remove the course it will take it from the search engine rather than actually staying within the results set, which is what the last module did. If I was to remove this CCT in management now, you'll notice first of all it updates live on screen, so I'm not having to research and go back in, but it's now not part of my results. If I use the filtering at the top here to go from active to removed courses and click on search, you'll see that our course that we removed is now in there, and you can keep them in there. It doesn't cause an issue of any information that might be related to that course or results that might be related to that course. What it's doing is it's preventing you from creating new results and records associated to that course, because it's not active within your library anymore. And if I go over to the options panel, it'll only give me a restore option, which will place it out of there and take it back into my main search. So we can see it's back here again. Now you may have noticed that we also have a link procedure button, and this is a new addition to the module that's going to come very soon, which is going to allow you to link procedural documentation to your courses, so that when you look at a training record you can see all the documentation associated to that as well. The video will be updated in the coming weeks once that's been finalised. To add a course, the button is always in the same place with regards to all of these libraries. At the bottom of the filter on the right hand side you'll see an add course. The adding of courses is now within screen, so rather than moving away from the search engine and having to come back and research, it now all works within the same environment. Got some course guidance here for adding in. We can put a course title, an accreditation body, we can select the course category and the retest period as well, or whether it's no expiry. And as I've said before, you can associate a course with a specific area within the organisation. The retest period is the most important, on the basis that if you have no expiry, the system will see a result set, or if you put a result into a person, it will see it as it will never expire. Whatever the expiry is set as the course is what's going to work the engine in the background to say, look, this course is either coming up for expiry, or it's going to expire, or it has expired. So setting an expiry date is very important, and if you edit that expiry date at any point, it will actually go around all of the training data and realign it again. So it could be that you have no one expired on a course, and then you suddenly change the expiry date to a year instead of 5. It's going to instantly tell you where all the expiries are. So it will work with the data in real time. Now I'll cancel and save this window, and let's just go and edit this one here. So we can see here that we've got the CCTV and Digital Security Management course, and it currently has no retest period. If I click on edit of that course, it will come up in screen, as we can see here, and if you cast your eyes over to where the retest period is in the results set, now greyed out a little bit, you can see it says no retest. But I could quite easily say, actually no, it does. It has a retest within a year's time. What this is going to do when I save is it's going to update the data live in screen. There you can see the retest period is now changed to 1 year. The reason I'm going over these concepts is it works throughout this module. So providers, roles, they all work in a similar way. It will always update the record set there and then on screen, so you're not having to come back and forwards, and performance is really key when it comes to this module. If for any reason it needs to wait, it will actually come up and tell you that it's processing and it needs to wait, because it could be that you have 1,000 results of one course and you change the retest period of that course. It has to go through and do its integrity checks, and that might take a couple more seconds than normal, but it will come up and tell you. So once you've added all your courses in and they spread over the pages, you can then move over to your providers. Now within your providers, you've got a keyword search and a course search as well. So if you want to find provider or your providers that actually do the course specifically, you can filter by that. If I do a blank search at the moment and we just have a look at our providers, I've got a couple in here within the demo system. On the right hand side of the providers, you can see that these are the courses that they have associated. So we can see here that RiskX supplies Irish Managing Safely, Working Safely, NEBOSH Diploma MVQ, and the certificate as well. And I can quite easily add to that, and again it's going to add in screen. And for adding a provider, just like in the courses, same area and again in screen. Now if you're familiar with adding providers from the last module, you'll notice there's a little bit less on the screen. We've removed the need to have deep contact details with regards to those providers, because I'm sure your HR systems have those already, but it just holds a bit of key information. The other addition is the delivery. You now can specify per provider what type of delivery they do. This means that when you come to actually put a course result in, it will also come up and say, okay, which type of delivery was that course as well, and it will specify those based on the provider rather than giving you the whole list. Again, aiding integrity, because there's no point saying that you had an on-site course to an e-learning provider. Courses are listed below, and we can quite easily move those across to be assigned to that provider. And again, what I'll do is I'll edit one and we can see how that works live in screen. If I cancel that, you can see here we've got RiskX Limited and we've got the 4 courses. If I go and I have the option to edit, my screen comes up and I've got all my information. I can see they do external and internal, and I can see the courses that they provide as well. But let's say that they also provide a COSH awareness course. We now have that assigned, and I'll save, and you'll notice here in the background when I update the search, that course is going to live update. And there we go. Our COSH awareness course is now updated and is now part of that provider and is now accessible to all of those on the training module that want to put a result against RiskX Limited of a COSH awareness course. I can easily remove that course, like in the course library. I can remove that provider, and that provider then will come out of this screen, and you can then filter that again by active and remove providers. Let me move on to roles. Now within the roles, we can filter by company again. We can put the structure back in. So like with courses, the reason we don't structure out providers is we contemplate that providers themselves will be essentially company led anyway. But you can filter the roles, because you might have roles within your department specific to a piece of machinery or a process that's really not anywhere else within the organisation itself. But again, that's for your own management. You can keep them at any company level if you wish. Keyword search, we also have the courses as well. So if you want to find which roles have certain courses associated to them, again, we can filter off the back of those, and the ability to obviously show and remove the roles, similar to the other libraries. We can add roles, exactly where you expect it to be. Guidance given to the roles, a role name and a description. You don't have to put a description in, you only have to put the name of the role in as a minimum. Everything else can be left. You can actually leave it at this screen with just the role name, and then come and put the courses in later if you wish. Role descriptions are worth doing, because you might have a role that you call it somewhat same as what another department may do, but it's different in its description, and more importantly the courses that are available to it as well. So we do recommend putting the descriptions in. If I do a general search, we can see the roles that I've automatically set up within this area. We can see a description underneath of those roles as well. But more importantly, we can see the courses that have been assigned to those roles. So we know a forklift operator has got to have his forklift driving course in date, an Irish working safely course in date, and the manual handling awareness course in date. The options to you are there to then edit and remove, like with the other libraries. And again, it will update in screen if I was to edit and then give this person another course. So this role itself, forklift operator, has got another course assigned to it, having associated it to a specific area, the whole company, and I save that details. It will add that course in. It will also do another integrity check of the data when it does this as well, because you might remove a course from a role, and therefore it might make loads of people who are associated to that role valid. They might be missing the COSH awareness course, for instance. That means that everyone now who's associated to forklift operator within my demo organisation is now going to be essentially expired if they don't have a COSH awareness course. It's going to say that that role is now non-compliant. So it will do its checks at this point. Going further to the right of those courses, you also have this magnifying glass, and what that will do is it will do a quick search of everybody in the people database within the location that has that role associated. And it's worth noting as well that although I'm going into these course providers and roles and it's filtering the search to any company, that's because my account on this system is specified to be company wide. If your account is defaulted to a specific area within your organisation, when you come into these filters, these searches, you're going to find that this is automatically going to specify to your area. If I clear the search, So the final stage is the people. We've got our courses in there, our providers, our roles. And as I say, you can always go back and redo those as well and edit and modify accordingly. And now we've got the cusp of the data, the actual individuals within the system. And quite a bit of filtering in here as well. We have the ability to search by keyword. We can search by role. Show me all my fire wardens within a specific area or company-wide. The status of the roles themselves, are they compliant or non-compliant? The course statuses, has anyone got any course data within their people record that is expired or is due soon, or show me everyone who's in date. The induction status, if you have the induction module, you can actually specify that they've started their induction or in progress or completed. And again, filtering by those that have been removed or active. And if you remove a person, it will go obviously into its own specific area away from the active users, and it won't form part of the training matrix if you download into Excel, and it won't form part of the statistics either. With the dashboard as well, it sees that person's record as redundant now, but there so that you can activate it again if that person then comes back to the organisation at any time. The filtering here, as said before, that will filter to your default location and department if you have that set within your account. If I do a general people search, that's going to bring back the people that I currently have in this system, and it will page just like all the other areas. If it has 15 or more results, it will start to page. Now, there's quite a lot going on this screen, as you can see. Firstly, I can see the name and the job titles of the individuals. I have the ability to see what level their induction is if you have the induction module turned on. I have the ability to see what course status they are. Now, we have a none here, which means that that person has no courses whatsoever. They have no training data to have a look at. If I look at James Sharp here, I've got the in date, which means that of the courses he's currently got on his record, they are all in date. So of any training he's got, they're definitely in date. Further down here with Michael Green, you'll see expired, which means that any course, he has courses, because it's not none, but they are expired. He has an expired course within his record somewhere, and it will always take precedence based on expired. So you could have 10 in-date courses and one that's expired. It's always going to show it as expired at this level so that you know to go and have a look. On the right hand side, we then have the roles. So these are roles that are associated and assigned to the individuals. You can see here with James Sharp that Fire Warden's role is not valid, but the Safety Rep's role is valid. So he's going to have courses here that are perfect for Safety Reps and it's all in date, but the Fire Warden's course isn't. Now you could be saying, well, Fire Warden says it's not in date, yet the courses say it is in date. And there's two differences here. This column here is showing that of the courses that person's got, they are in date. But because his role's invalid, my guess will be he doesn't have any courses associated to that role, and that's why the role itself is non-compliant. If he had a course in the Fire Wardens and it has expired, and that was why the role was red, this would also say expired, because he would have a training course that's expired. It just gives you the ability, because you may have people that don't have roles associated to them, but you still want to know if they've expired or in date in training. This is what this column's used for. When it comes to roles, you can look at this column itself. Now, with the ability to add people, similar to the other areas, we have our add person library here. And what I'll do is I'll edit a person so we can see. So we'll edit Chris here. So I have the ability here to edit. And we can see Chris's details. We can specify a shift again, which is customized to the organization, to the levels of shifts they have. The roles that are available, and he has a role associated with him at the moment in time. It might be that I turn around and say, well, do you know, he actually doesn't have that role anymore. So I'm going to take away that role. He's not associated to any part of the organisation either. He's company-wide. And I'm going to save those details. You'll see now that he has no roles assigned. And that would have removed any blockers with regards to any training that was expired or anything like that if he did have courses. But I can very easily, again, add to that person's record some more roles. So we say we've got 2 roles here. I could specify him to a specific part of the actual business itself. So let's put him within the Milton Keynes area of RiskX and save those details in. And now you'll see he's got roles and they've expired and out of date. He doesn't have any courses associated to them. So he is non-compliant with those roles. And it will always do that check. So you could have loads of training already and not associated to any roles. The moment you associate that person to a role, it's going to check to see if that role is valid. Based on the training they've got, it will do that in real time for you. So you may find you add people to a role and they're instantly green. That will tell you then that the training they do have is compliant for that role. Let's now have a look at the record of the individual person. So we'll go into James Sharp's record here. If I go to the options, you'll see there's an open record. This is going to take me into their own personal training record. So now I'm in the individual training record and we can have a look at this in a little bit more detail. The first part is the general details, where we know where the specific area is that that person's assigned. I can see some general information about them if they've got team shift. You may find in your system that you'll have another option here for the induction workflow if you have the induction system enabled, but this system doesn't. I then have my roles and I can see here fire wardens and safety reps. Going a bit further down, I can then see the courses that I've got associated to that record. I can see the date of when they were done, what the course was, who the provider was, what the type was. So unknown, it's a delivery type. We didn't actually know how it was delivered. Maybe it was too old, and the level of that course as well, basic, intermediate or advanced. Going over, I can then see the expiry date, which automatically works itself out by looking at this course and having a look at the retest period within the course library, having a look at the date and working out what your expiry is, or that it doesn't have any level of expiry at all, which is what we can see here. I can then see cost information based on that result, and I have some various other options here. The first one being procedures, because when the procedures element is enabled within the training module, as we saw in the courses, you will then be able to show procedures associated with that individual course record, the most up-to-date version, and that will come in a later video. I can see files that are associated, so it could be that when I put the result in, I uploaded multiple files of evidence, say a certificate or attendance sheet of that result, and therefore I can see from down here that we have 2 files, and if I click on that, it will then show me what those files are and I can download them accordingly. I then have the option with each result to edit and remove it from the record. Now before we edit a result and show you essentially what adding a result is like, I want us to come back to these roles. So we can see here that the safety rep in general is valid, it's a compliant role, and my guess is that these training records here are satisfactory for that role, or at least one of them is. But how would you know? Well, you can actually click on the role itself, and what it will do is it will bring up a window and show you the courses that are required for that role. Working safely and managing safely. Both of them are in date, as we can see down here as well. So therefore it is satisfying the role. But we've got one here that's not satisfied, so let's have a look. If I open this role, it's going to show me that fire marshals training is missing. So this person doesn't have any fire marshals training, and ergo the fire warden's role is not valid. So you can quite easily see, and it could be that there could be 7 or 8 courses here that's required for that role, and it will show you which are missing, which are in date, which are expired, which are due soon. It will give you an in-depth information flow of that role and all its component parts. So you can very easily then see that that's what they're missing. To add a new result to the person's record, you'll notice here that above the result set we have an add new result button. If I click on that, that will bring up all the inputs required to add a result in. And this can be customized slightly as well if you need more inputs for your organization. The first element here is the course date, which you can use a date picker for as well. We're then specifying the actual course. We're then specifying the provider of that course, or which of the providers, based on what's in the provider library. And then it's going to come up and show you the levels of delivery that it has, and it will always give you an unknown as an option as well, because you may not know, and we wish you to proceed further at this stage. You can always come back and edit it at a later date. You then can put a delegate cost in if costing information is important to you and it forms part of the dashboard as well. The course level of basic, intermediate and advanced, and then the results set as well, and we'll say here it's passed. You also have the ability here in this box to drag and drop multiple files in, and there's no limit to the amount of files, and they will then associate themselves with the result. And you also have the ability to add files manually as well if you wish, which will bring up the ability to search your own computer and then add them in that method. Now I'll close without saving, and we're going to have a look at the edit box, which is exactly the same again, but obviously we've got data in there. So let's have a look at this working safely. We know we've got some files in here as well, and if I go in and edit, that will then bring up the data live in screen, and we can see all the information here related to that result set: providers, course delivery, costings if there is any. You then have the files that are associated. We knew there was 2 here, we could see them, and from here we can delete them, and we can also download, but I can also add more. Just by dragging more in, I can add more files to this result set as well. Save the result out, and we're back to where we start. With regards to result set, if you have 10 results or more, it will start paging those results as well. So it doesn't essentially mean that the screen has to scroll and keep on scrolling along, making it very easy for you with regards to the interface. But just be mindful that if you do find that result set up here is saying 20 results and you're only seeing 10 on screen, it is because you need to probably page 2, page 3, and so forth. So the importance here of the records that you put into the training is that this is what's going to drive the roles to become compliant or even non-compliant, and then also drive the dashboard and the engine that's sitting behind it as well. And you can do that for each individual. On the left hand side, these are all quick navigation, so I can go to each of these areas if I wish by clicking them, but you'll also find that there's navigation to go back, so I can go back to my search, of which what it will do is preserve the search that I did. So if you have filtered it in any way like I have here, the result set will come straight back up for you again, so you don't have to keep researching. And that's the same for all of the areas. It will try and preserve your last search. I can also go back to the dashboard or the main menu as well, but you can quickly link to those by going into the record. So if I go back into that actual record and open that person's record again, you can see that I can not only go back to the search, I can go right back to the main menu if I wish and hit the dashboard at the same time. So you don't have to keep navigating for the sake of navigating. You should be able to go straight back to those links. So if I then click on the main menu, the one area that we haven't touched on yet is the dashboard. And we had a widget dashboard in the last version, but I think you'll be very pleased with this one. We've made it so that it's very quick statistical analysis based on various areas that you can also filter down and see the data at the same time. So let's build the dashboard up. There we go. And this is now giving me some statistical analysis based on the demo data that I have in here, and I'm sure you'll see much bigger numbers than this when it comes to your version. On the right hand side we have a filter, so I can filter to anywhere in the organisation and get an idea of what the dashboard looks for that information. It will default that filter based on your user account, and obviously mine's set to any company like before, so you may only see that your dashboard is populating based on your department. If you do filter it by department, the exported matrix will also follow suit. So whatever you filter here, when you export the matrix to Excel, and it gives you all your courses and people and where the expiries are, that's going to obviously only download the data specific to your area. If you do it at all company level, you're going to get an overview of the whole organisation. And be wary, because this may take a little while based on the level that you're filtering in. If you have 1,000 to 3,000 employees and you're asking it to export a matrix in Excel of the entire company, it may take a few more seconds than expected to have that matrix report download. Just click it once, give it a moment, and it should do its work. Going over to the actual analysis here, First of all, we can see compliant training records. We've got 4 of them. Expired training records, we have 1 of them. Training records due, we've got 0. So it's due within the 30 days, and that can be customized based on the organisation. You have 30, 60 days, 90 days. I can see how many people I have on the system within my area. I've got it company-wide at this moment in time. I can also see the roles, so I've got 2 roles that are in date, but I've got 4 roles that are non-compliant. Any cost information within that month of January, so if any courses have been booked and how much they were and the totalising of that cost, and how many results have been entered within January as well, which at the moment we haven't, they're all 0. Some important information about these stats is how they're being seen when you come to filter to the people. We have 2 compliant roles and 4 non-compliant roles, which means this is going to bring up the amount of people. So if I was to click on 2 here, you'll notice 2 people have come up, and we've got 2 roles here that are currently compliant. If I go back to my dashboard and I have 4 non-compliant roles and I click on that, it's going to bring me up 4 people with non-compliant roles, but you'll notice there's actually 5 roles that are non-compliant. So this is specifying the people and how many people have got roles that are expired. If I go back to the dashboard, when it comes to the training records and the expired training records, that's looking at the records as a whole, so not as a person. So it's not that there's 4 people with training records that are compliant. There could be, they could have 1 course each. It could be 2 people with 2 courses each. Expired training could say 10 expired training, and it could be 1 person with 10 expired records. So this is always looking at the records level. The roles will always look at a person. How many people have got roles that are non-compliant? And it's worth remembering that if I go to compliant training records here and I click show records, it said 4, but 2 people have come up. And that will be because each of these have probably got 2 records that are valid. If I go into James's record here and I click on open record, there we go, 2 records that are valid. So if I go back to the dashboard, you'll notice that we have these quick links on all these areas where we can filter the information. So I can quite easily see on people here, 5, that's obviously going to show me people. So there we go, 5 individuals within the area I'm looking at, which is company wide. And the great thing about dashboards is that every organisation may have different statistics that they would like to gain out of the system with regards to a dashboard, which should be quick, easy, not having to really compute too much. And if that's the case, then you can always suggest that to our support team and what you'd like to see in this. This dashboard has been built off the user base at the moment and what they've been asking for with regards to the training module. And hopefully what you've seen so far by going through this training module is the vast difference of the version that we had last year. And what we've done is we've listened to the client base that have been utilising it and the organisations we've been working very closely with, and to gain better performance and a better interface for the end user. This new edition is now there and activated on your license. We do have an enhancement coming which is going to connect it to the portal system, and that's coming in the next couple of weeks alongside with the procedures version as well. Once we have that cleared and signed off, there'll be another video to complement this which will show you some of the changes. And all that's doing is allowing you to connect procedural documents to courses so that when you look at your record you can actually see all the procedures associated with courses or competencies that you're trained in. So it might be a piece of machinery and here is the procedure. With regards to the portal side, that's going to allow any staff member, if you have the portal system, to interact with the training data, and they will essentially see their own training record, and they won't be able to manipulate or make changes to it at that stage, but they will be able to see what training they've got, procedures associated to their training, any files that are uploaded to their training. They just can't modify or edit the data for integrity purposes, and that will be done through the portal service utilising their email account, to verify their identity, which will take them straight into their training record. And we're really at the cusp of launching that at this moment in time. We're just waiting for final sign off. But hopefully this has given you enough information to be able to start utilising this module to its fullest. And any questions you have, we have our support team here that are ready to help. Enjoy it. Give us back the feedback. We grow on the feedback, and we need that information to make this system even better going forward. And thank you very much for your time.